Hello, my lovely people. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for being here, D&D Tesla and Sean Donnelly and Kay and everybody else. This will be an interesting video. It will share more game theory stuff, crazy accumulation, and some earnings reports from Coinbase and MicroStrategy with some charts in real time. It's a big one, and things are pretty nutty out there. Maybe it's just a crazy season with Halloween coming up. But the main thing I'm going to try and address today is why is Bitcoin not skyrocketing? Because I talk about how much the ETFs are gathering. And some crazy game theory from the 16th biggest nation in the planet that wants to stack Bitcoin. A little bit about Bitcoin and taxes. A little bit about Michael Saylor, Coinbase and Visa, Coinbase earnings, Bitcoin now number 6, which is look, I think in Chinese, which is a lucky number. What else? Mining costs, more on Uptober, where we are. Yeah, let's get into it. Thank you everybody for coming. By the way, somebody said yesterday in a comment here, it's like, this is some type of satanic club because everybody knows each other and everybody says hello to each other. Yeah, bing, blocked. Anyway, no disrespect here in this house, and not financial advice either. Shout out to Patreon as well. This is from Neptune Spear. James's Patreon is one of a kind. Quite literally made enough from his trade alerts the past week to pay for 10 years of membership. Wow, well done. Anyway, yeah, it's a fun time to be alive, and we're still working 24/7 to find alpha, and it's still out there. So let's go. Bitcoin news time. First of all, getting into Saylor, we'll talk about him not once, not twice, but 3 times today. The Bitcoin Saylor. Bitcoin is crazy. But he basically came out on building Bitcoin bridges, and he said soon every billionaire will buy $1 billion of Bitcoin, and the supply shock will be so great, we will definitely stop measuring Bitcoin in terms of fiat. This has been my thesis for Bitcoin since 2017. Is the hardness, is the supply shock. And I'm glad to see Saylor talking about it too. So we'll see if that is going to happen. But there's other stuff happening too. And this is the beauty. Once this thing catches on, things will go crazy. I'll talk more about craziness in a few minutes too. First of all, before we get into it, Florida CFO urges the state to invest in Bitcoin. A guy called Jimmy Patronis to the SBA, and Florida needs to lean forward on cryptocurrency. He wrote a very detailed letter as to why. It's a 2-pager. You'll find it out there on the interwebs. But again, this is more game theory. Florida is the 16th largest nation on earth if you measure their GDP. California is number 5. I think Texas is number 6 or 7, soon to eclipse number 5. And the states in the United States are huge places. But can you imagine? This guy is basically on bended knee talking to Ron DeSantis and other players that now is the time. We can change our pension scheme. We can help our pension funds if we allocate to Bitcoin. All right, so imagine when that happens. And some clever pension funds around the world are already doing it. But you combine this with every billionaire around the world planning to buy Bitcoin, it's going to be crazy. We'll talk more about somebody who just bought a big bag as well a few minutes ago. Let's get into some more news, though, however. Saylor is back for the second time. Bitcoin Saylor, my new name for him, they have them paying tax. This is his tweet, by the way. I won't mention who he is referring to. They have them paying tax on crypto, and I don't think that's right. Bitcoin is money, and you have to pay capital gains tax if you use it to buy a coffee. I was talking with a friend, and he said literally it shouldn't be taxed, and I agree. So this could be another little tailwind if you can find a way to make small payments in Bitcoin be tax-free, like something under $300 or under $500. That'd be a game changer in the United States. And Matt Haugen comes out as well, and he believes that Bitcoin does not need for the US dollar to collapse to hit $200,000. That's the Bitwise chief investment officer. And this goes deeper than that as well, because again, we know that the US dollar is the cleanest dirty shirt in the laundry, as it's often referred to. But if you start thinking about Bitcoin and dollar weakness and dollar correlation and dollar debt and dollar hegemony, etc., etc., this will definitely change in the new world that's coming. So not only will we no longer be measuring Bitcoin in dollar terms, but we'll also won't be worried about fiat at all. And whether it survives or dies, fiat will eventually go to zero. And you see that with the crazy debasement. So please, everybody, do not hold on to a lot of melting ice cubes. Have them for short-term needs. Speaking of somebody sitting on a big bag of melting ice cubes to the tune of about $78 billion worth, Microsoft, their vote starts today. This is what the form looks like. The board is against investing in Bitcoin. You can see here, the number one choice, though, is for. The board recommendation is do not vote for Bitcoin. But it's interesting what the shareholders will actually do. And again, many of these shareholders are made up of large players like the Vanguarded firm. The Vanguarded firm does not want you to have your hands on Bitcoin or have you have access to ETFs. And they are a big bag holder of Microsoft, and they will clearly say no. But if we had somebody like an Alexander Mertz running Twitter for Microsoft shareholders, I guarantee you that would flip to pro-Bitcoin. Anyway, shout out to Alexander too. Here we are, Tesla Bitcoin crossover. Why not? Why not? Just a fact of life. And we always say, just like David Sachs always says, let your winners ride. This is a classic Reddit fail from Bitcoin Magazine. Just in, Reddit sold all or the majority of its Bitcoin and Ethereum back before September. Right before it started to pump. Again, they kind of got out. Obviously, they made some gains, but you don't sell your Bitcoin into Pumptober, Uptober, Moonvember, December in an election year, okay? You don't do that. Larry Fink knows not to do that. Reddit did it. Anyway, let your winners ride, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of a related story, too, of Let Your Winners Ride, this is from the Bitcoin historian. This is Christopher Koch. And in 2009, he bought 5,000 Bitcoin for $25. Woohoo. This guy, absolute legend. Until 2013, when he sold them all to buy a $100,000 apartment. And yes, I will say you always need your castle. But today, they would be worth $360 million. So again, everybody, be careful. Yes, his $100,000 apartment might be worth $200,000, $300,000 now, but not $355 million. So if you do have to take some lifestyle chips off the table, financial advice here, by the way, make sure you stay vested and borrow. You borrow to buy real estate. You do not spend your Bitcoin to buy real estate. Okay, finance it, write the interest off. Now, getting more into it, Matt is back again. This has got Saylor twice. No, Saylor 3 times today. And we have Matt twice. So here we are. Basically, he got on TV and he said, it is the single best time to invest in Bitcoin, even though the price is at 72K. Let's check on the price now because it's been volatile today. Everything's been up and down. Remember, the market makers are trying to shake you out. They're trying to break your mind. So you get weak and then you capitulate. But Bitcoin is over. It's just gone up $400 since I started, 72,200. So that's the good juju from everybody in here. Anyhow, yeah, I'll get back to why it's a good time to invest in Bitcoin in a minute. But before, there's more stuff happening behind the scenes. Coinbase, first mentioned today, and Visa, they partner. And now, in this partnership, you'll be able to use your Visa credit card or debit card to buy crypto instantly. There you go. More on-ramps, more people. Instead of buying a $10 latte or something ridiculous like that, make your coffee at home and put that $10 into crypto. Well, good crypto, of course. Always be in the top 0.1% of crypto assets as well. And Bitcoin is now number 6. And that is a lucky number for me after spending a lot of time in Asia in my life. I think it's called luck. Do not shoot my pronunciation. I try my best. But now number 6 in terms of monetary assets worldwide, right after Japan. So we got gold, US dollar, euro, China, Japan, and Bitcoin. And soon, I do believe, well, Bitcoin will have to triple to eclipse the yen. So it might be a while. We might be at number 6 for quite a long time. Unless, of course, Bitcoin goes to $200,000, which there's some talk of as well. And here we go. Yeah, Ed says MicroStrategy is the best meme coin. Well, MicroStrategy has been life-changing for thousands of people. Who watched this show? I'm the first guy to talk about MicroStrategy. It was my third ever video. Anyhow, let's get into it. Let's get into some charts. I always try and find some ugly charts, black charts, and I'm going to show you one because this is the whole story today. Why is number not going up? First of all, shout out to Crypto Rover, who put this very nice chart together. At the bottom is the amount that Blackrock has stacked into the Bitcoin ETF, and at the top is the Bitcoin price. As you saw back in March, the big first zone of major accumulation, Bitcoin price went up. Then we had the summer doldrums, which we always have, but there was still some stacking there, and Bitcoin price was kind of flat to down. And now we're in phase 3 of massive accumulation, and yes, at last, Bitcoin is getting back to all-time highs. But what people sometimes get frustrated with is I talk about how much these 9 ETFs are stacking. And they say, why is the price not going up? I'm going to address that right now. First of all, before we do, because that's going to come into the good charts, because there's a good chart. So this is where it's kind of confusing. Sometimes a bad chart can trigger a good chart. So I'm going to come back to that story. But before I do, one other bad chart too is the Bitcoin. And shout out to Macro Micro, with the beautiful charts they have. If you like macro, hang out on their site. And I know the team reached out to me for something a long time ago. I didn't have time to respond. But anyway, I still use your stuff and I love your stuff. But here, the Bitcoin average mining costs now are $76,500 on the nose, which basically means when the Bitcoin price is at 72K, most miners, the majority of miners, are mining at a loss. So even though the price there says 66,642, it takes time for them to calculate the Bitcoin average mining costs. So this is from the 25th of October. So still, the average miner is losing 4,000 plus for each Bitcoin they mine. And that's why many of them are trying to stack it now so they can hold it and sell it at a higher price later. So time for the gold segment, the good charts. First of all, Bitcoin monthly returns. We are in Uptober. The gainers so far are exactly 14% on Bitcoin in the month to date. And I think we've got one more day left of October. Tomorrow is the 31st. Oh, it's Halloween as well. Spooky time. But we'll see if we get to 15.2%, which is the average gainers, by the way, of Bitcoin in the month of October. And by the way, for this, I think I took out 2010 because that was maybe a bit of an anomaly year. But also, Moonvember is even better. We will see what happens. A lot of stuff is driven by some of the decisions that will be made over the next 6 days, ladies and gentlemen, and that's just a fact of life. So be ready. And if you listen to the Bitwise CIO, it could be a good time. Let's look at the ETFs because this is one of the first charts I'll show today. 65,300 Bitcoin were sucked up so far in October, and that's only 21 trading days. That is 3,200 Bitcoin per average per trading day, and that's 7 times the daily issuance. That's a big amount. And check this chart out to the moon. This looks like a meme coin. Guess who just spent $30.444 billion on Bitcoin? That is Blackrock. All right. This is the fastest growing ETF ever in the history of planet Earth. And it's Blackrock. Shout out to Sean Donnelly. This is for you, buddy. Bloody hell. I think bloody hell with a British accent. And I had to share this because it is the season to be spooky. So I hope the children are not afraid of my crude graphics. But we had the third biggest day ever for the ETFs in history. You can see the spikes there. The first one was day 40. Second one, day 108. Third one, day 206. Crazy, crazy spike. Third biggest day ever. And as I refer to, phase 3 of accumulation is full swing, which is extremely big. Let's look at who is driving all of this red action. You can see here on the chart, it's IBIT, which is Blackrock. They are leaving everybody in the dust, and they are buying this stuff hands over fist. And I don't know who is buying but they're buying from BlackRock because BlackRock has been on a global roadshow shilling Bitcoin to pension funds and high net worth individuals and everybody else. Maybe it's Florida, maybe it's New Jersey, maybe it's Wyoming, maybe it's, what was the other W state that was going to allocate their pension funds to it. But anyway, the Finkster is convincing people to stack like mad. And yesterday they took in $600 million. That is $0.6 billion. And I know in today's world, $1 million, $1 billion, people throw it around because there's so much debt in the world. It's like nothing. But that is a lot of money. A lot of money. If you imagine all the people who typically invest into Bitcoin, call it 4% of the US population, 3 times 4, what's that? 1.2 million. You know, that's the average amount for each one of these people paying into Bitcoin every day is monstrous. Anyway, big amount of money. And somehow, this is getting back to the question. Somehow, tons of money is flowing into these ETFs and the Bitcoin price is staying more or less flat. And I'm going to try and address why that is today, because yesterday I hinted at it and I said it's because of the OTC desks. All right. The OTC desks are there designed to stop big price fluctuations. When people come in to drop a lot of coin on Bitcoin, they're not going to go to Coinbase and buy it there. No, they go to an OTC desk. And this is from Magoo, PhD, Hodl Magoo. I just got off the phone with the same OTC desk I was in communication with yesterday. They are still looking for Bitcoin inventory, but the kicker is now, in one-day change, they're willing to pay 250 basis points above market for any lots larger than 100 Bitcoin. All right? Everybody, that's 2.5% over the asking just to get their hands on some Bitcoin bags. This is big, big, big news, which this is code for they're worried about running out of stock. And somebody asked me a question yesterday. Why are the OTC desks selling their Bitcoin? The answer is their job is not to speculate on the price of Bitcoin. Their job is to keep the prices smooth. So Uncle Larry can come in and buy a big bag without jacking the price to hell. That's why. Okay, now, this is the chart that shows something kind of telling happening. I hinted at it yesterday, had it dug up today, and I think Bitcoin Magazine, Crypto, one of the magazines anyway, they published this today as well. And probably because I triggered the question, perhaps, I don't know. But I did prompt this story yesterday. I had a feeling the OTC desks were running a bit low on coinage. And as Bitcoin approaches all-time highs, and as you can see here, check out the OTC. This is from miners, though. It's not the OTC desks, but it's the amount of flows that are leaving the Bitcoin miners to OTC desks. And it dropped to years lows, okay? And it's a crypto quant chart. And over the counter desks did have a big bag of Bitcoin in, I think it was June. I noticed they had about 400,000 Bitcoin. And that was worth about 30 billion. But we'll see if that level is still there today. We do know the flow has stopped. Therefore, the OTC desks are calling around looking for Bitcoin. And it's also not the only people that are stacking. And there was another story too, if there couldn't be more good stories. This is from Benzinga. And they say Satoshi Nakamoto could soon be surpassed by BlackRock. By the way, Satoshi Nakamoto was originally mining Bitcoin, never touched any of it. By my calculations, he has about 1.04 million. Some people say it's 1.1 million. Either way, it's somewhere around there. BlackRock currently at 417,000. Grayscale, 254,000. Their mini GBTC fund has been stacking a little bit, by the way. Right behind them is MicroStrategy, 252,000. We'll talk about them in a second. U.S. government, 203,000. There's been a lot of fear and FUD all summer long that they would sell and dump their Bitcoin. Well, they haven't. And probably not going to do it now before the election, which is good news. Chinese government, 194,000. And Fidelity, 188,420. Can't make that number up, by the way. Interesting. I don't think they're going to be able to surpass Satoshi for quite some time. They will have to nearly triple their bag. But again, at this rate, it's possible that it could happen in the next year and a half, 2 years, but not before then, because as the demand goes up, the price will go up. and it'll become much harder to stack another 600,000 Bitcoin. My view of the world. Now, another chart. This is how many Bitcoin were sucked in yesterday. 12,000 Bitcoin. Again, the third biggest day ever. Remember, this number is the fourth biggest stacking amount, or the fifth. But at the beginning of the ETF, Bitcoin was a lot cheaper. And that goes back to my point that it was easy. And I can't read the numbers. My eyes aren't that good. So anybody down there that can, let me know. It's either the fifth biggest day ever in terms of Bitcoin dollars, but not in terms of dollars, which is represented here. This is the third biggest day in dollars. But as you can see, even as time goes on, after 200 trading days, it gets harder and harder and harder to stack a large bag of Bitcoin. But still, 12,000 Bitcoin were absorbed yesterday. I think it's fifth or sixth biggest day ever. But yesterday we had the third biggest cash day. And that's why I believe it's going to take, as the air gets thinner, it's going to get harder and harder to stack larger amounts of Bitcoin. But I'll talk more about this in a second too. Before we do though, this shows you somebody else from Vivek. Vivek for real on X. He just posted this 3 hours ago. Somebody just bought $43 million of Bitcoin. Do you know how much Bitcoin you get for 43 million? The answer is 600. That's not a big bag. In the bear market, actually for the kids at home, how much can you buy in the bear market if the price is 15,500 and you got 43.33 million to spare? Let me know and you'll see it is a big number. And that shows you just in a short window of time how less far the dollar goes to buy Bitcoin. All right. So it's just start revising your heads to think in terms of how weak the dollar becomes, even in a very short window of time. Fascinating stuff. Now, two companies dropped earnings right at the close. That's why I waited till 12:50 or 1:15 to go live, because I want to see what happened. As Coinbase and MicroStrategy both released now. One of them is super interesting because one of them came out and said this is MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy announced its third quarter 2024 financial results. They still hold 252,220 Bitcoin with a Bitcoin yield of 17.8% year to date. That's how much they want to grow their Bitcoin bag per year. But what's crazy is they announced that they want to spend $42 billion in their capital plan to stack Bitcoin. So I'm thinking immediately, MicroStrategy is down, let me calculate, $10, which is a nothing burger for a $250 stock. So when the world sees this news, they go, holy crap, this guy is not going to stop. All right. So then that's the first thing that's shock. He's going to spend more money on Bitcoin, which means take on more debt. But then they think, oh, he's really going to do this. 42 billion. What'll that buy me? Well, today it'll be 600,000. But as you know, per this chart, dollar will go less and less far with Bitcoin. So maybe 300,000 Bitcoin more. So he'll more than double his bag is his plan over the next 3 years. And he's a meticulous planner, by the way. When he says he's going to do this, he's going to do this. And Bitcoin price will go up and he sucks up the supply. 600,000, that would destroy all of the OTC desks today, okay? And that's basically more than the miners will actually mine over the next 3 years plus. So it's going to be hard to get his hands on 600,000 Bitcoin or 300,000 Bitcoin or spend even $42 billion. But when people see this, they think, he's going to do it. So buying MicroStrategy today is a call option on the future of Bitcoin. And after all you've seen today, this stacker, and then you got the Florida government here, boom, wanting to buy. When the Florida pension fund buys Bitcoin, I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow, next week, a year from now, 5 years from now, the floodgates will open. And this thing is hard. Now, MicroStrategy did fall a little bit in after hours, down about $10, a little dip. It's down on prices not seen since what, 2 days ago? But that's just how it works. People freak out. Now, Coinbase also issued results. I didn't have time to analyze their results yet because I had to go live, but it did take a dump. But again, Coinbase is also probably going to do pretty well in the future. And as Rect Mando said on DCA on Monday, he prefers Coinbase as an investment over, I think it was Ethereum he believes it's undervalued. So anyway, I have no dog in the Coinbase fight. I do in the MicroStrategy fight, though, and that I do have that. Don't forget, Proxy's playlist is here if you just like Bitcoin-only stuff. What a time to be alive. Things are crazy. Before I hang up the phone on you all, Bitcoin up $600 since I started, 72,420. Thank you all for coming, everybody. Fun time. Hopefully I can stand tomorrow. I can't wait to be back on my feet. See you later. Hit the like and subscribe to find content like this out there. Thank you for all the people and the mods in the chat for keeping us all safe. Have a great day. Bye.